right, hello. Hello, welcome back to Feeling the Rush. It's been quite some time since we've done a video. I've been all over Instagram doing some posts, just kind of some cool little pictures about some news that's been going on. And I thought it's been quite some time, so why not do another mock draft video since the regular season just ended. I have some guests with me today that want to come in and share their knowledge of the draft that's coming up in April. And we kind of did a mock draft together, and we wanted to share our knowledge, so to speak. So I'm going to start off with the Arizona Cardinals selection at number 1, and then they'll come in and do their own selection. I'll be here for it all, and it's going to be a great time. So, no further ado, with the first selection, the Arizona Cardinals select Nick Bosa. It's kind of obvious at this point. I mean, nothing has really changed. He's the number 1 player on the board, and he's a brother of a all-pro athlete as it is, so Nick Bosa of the Cardinals seems to fit really well. I mean, they don't have a coach right now, but they'll make sure to get one that really fits Nick Bosa's scheme, make sure he gets the best playing time and the best chance to succeed. So with the first overall pick, the Arizona Cardinals select Nick Bosa from Ohio State. All right, well, now with the 49ers selection, I have my good buddy Rob over here. I've known Rob for a very long time. He's probably one of the most intellectually gifted men I know about the NFL.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, very big Vikings fan as well.
Unfortunately.
Skull, right?
Yeah. Wonderful time that was this year.
Well, Rob, welcome.
Thank you, sir.
Nice to have you.
Pleasure to be here. I appreciate the invite. All right. I am taking care of the second pick, handled by the San Francisco 49ers. This is a situation where I think they would be trading down in real life, but we're sticking to our guns, the natural order that was given to us. With that said, since they have to make a pick, the San Francisco 49ers will be selecting Quinnen Williams, a D-tackle out of Alabama. They've already got some good players rushing from the edge, but they need a solid penetrator from that nose tackle, 5-tech, whatever you want to call it, spot. Quinnen's a monster. He's going to move a ton of bodies. He's going to demand double teams. And if you thought DeForest Buckner was good now, just wait till he's got someone as good as him right next to him. So, barring reality taking over and a trade happening, Quinnen Williams will be a 49er next year.
So what made your pick of Quinnen Williams over our Clelin Ferrell or Josh Allen?
Well, I said just a minute ago that the Niners have good edge rushers as is. You look at Solomon Thomas there, the aforementioned DeForest Buckner. They've got Eric Armstead waiting in the wings if they want to use him. They need an up-the-middle presence. And even so, they've had success finding later round edge rushers. They let Aaron Lynch go, but there's a sign right there. They can develop someone good that they find later on, whether he slips for performance, character issues, whatever it is. But that middle presence has always been a sore spot for them. You might as well get the biggest impact guy while you've got him sitting right there for you.
All right. Well, thanks for that selection, Rob.
Thank you, sir.
All righty. So moving right along, we have the New York Jets at number 3, and I have my good buddy Eric here. Eric, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, and I've never had you on before, but we've always talked about it. Been really excited about finally getting a mock draft together, especially with you, because you're very interesting when it comes to players going in certain positions. And I wanted to really show that on the paper. So I'll let you go right with the New York Jets selection at number 3.
Hi. Today we got the New York Jets at 3, and we're going to go with Josh Allen, edge rusher out of Kentucky. I know it sounds really weird having another Josh Allen in this year's draft. I'm sure it would be great to have Josh Allen sacking Josh Allen maybe once or twice a year. But I really think that it's a great pick. You could go over guys like Farrell and other rushers like Ed Oliver, but this just seems like the right pick. He's really bursted onto the scene. I think guys like him and Benny Snow are the reason that Kentucky's being discussed.
Very interesting. And what do you think about the New York Jets with the kind of defense they have? It's led by Jamal Adams. Leonard Williams is still a force. And how would Josh Allen's presence really magnify how the Jets perform defensively?
I think he's just going to help create pressure, back in the backfield after the quarterbacks, and I think it's going to be really useful considering the circumstances the Jets have gotten rid of guys like Muhammad Wilkinson, Sheldon Richardson. So I just think that this is the best choice for them, honestly.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you for the number 3 overall pick. I mean, I'm a huge fan of Josh Allen, so I'm glad to see him go this high. Thanks again.
Thanks for having me.
All right. And now after number 3, we have number 4, the Oakland Raiders, with one of their 20 first-round draft picks they have. Oh, no.
Nope, just 3.
Just 3? So we have my good buddy Nick. He's brand new to the NFL scene, and he chose to be a Raiders fan when they were hot. I mean, not so anymore.
Not so much anymore, no.
But you stuck with them, and that's what's important. And now you're kind of reaping the benefits of all the selections now, right?
Yes, sir. We're getting all those picks in early.
All right. Well, let's hit it off with the 4th overall pick. I mean, you were pretty persistent about taking this player. Why don't you tell us about why you had the Oakland Raiders taking this player number 4?
Well, for the 4th pick, the Oakland Raiders would select Clelin Ferrell, the defensive end from Clemson. We figured he'd be the best player available out of the remaining people to start building the Oakland defense after we traded Khalil Mack off to the Bears. And he was, a key point in the Clemson defense, being an undefeated team there for so long.
Oh, yeah, he's definitely that anchor kind of a guy. He's definitely going to fill in the role that you need overall.
Yes,
yeah.
Agreed.
Alrighty. There's Clelin Ferrell, number 4 overall to the Raiders. But yeah, I can't wait to see more of you with our show. Definitely we'll see you for some more picks here.
Yeah, I'll be back.
Alrighty, well thanks, Nick. Alright, so after number 4 with the Raiders, that Nick so politely gave us, we have the Tampa Bay Buccaneers with the 5th overall pick. And with the 5th overall pick, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers select Andres Greedy Williams. He's a great cornerback out of LSU, very lethal when it comes to the cornerback position, so to speak. I don't really know how else to really describe this man without using his nickname, but he takes what he wants, if that's the best way to say it. Kind of Honey Badger-esque, any Houston fans out there, I don't really see him, but but he's a very interesting prospect this season.
I think it's a good pick, especially considering the situation Tampa has in their secondary. Guys like Hargreaves just not panning out. Can't all forget the Brett Grimes incidents. I just think this is the right direction, right? Especially if they want to be able to create turnovers.
Mm-hmm. Especially with a division with the Saints and the Falcons that are high passing offenses,
high octane players and quarterbacks, especially guys like Cam and Drew Brees. They need to have somebody that can stop guys like Michael Thomas, Devin Funchess. I just think this is the best pick, the best option for them.
All right, what do you think, Nick?
I agree. Greedy would be the great focal point for Tampa Bay's defense right now. Going off what you guys said, needing to stop guys from passing the ball deep down the field, definitely something Tampa Bay needs.
Absolutely. Just the division alone just really is like Julio Jones, Michael Thomas. You got DJ Moore coming up to be actually something.
Deep wide receiver threats, yeah.
Exactly.
Definitely.
All right. So let's just move right along. I think we have a Giants fan here.
Oh wait, I don't know.
I don't know.
Do we got one?
But Eric over here is a huge Giants fan.
Big Giants fan.
And I believe you love Dwayne Haskins, right? Oh, okay. So where are we going with the 6th round pick?
I actually think that the best option here is to dress the line. Let's not shy away from it. The line's putrid, and I know a lot of people sit there. You got guys like Saquon Barkley who are racking up 2,000 yards from scrimmage, but that's run blocking. They need pass protection, and I think somebody like Jonah Williams, the offensive lineman out of Alabama, would be somebody you can plug and play, whether it's on the left side or the right side. We did sign Nate Solder, but I think if Williams can go over and complete that right side, and then maybe have Solder stay on the left, you might even be able to flop him. We'll see what Coach Sherman wants to do. But I just think that the line is the priority right now over everything.
Do you guys see yourself addressing your QB situation anytime soon?
Yeah. I mean, I was very high on Justin Herbert, but unfortunately he wanted to go back to Oregon. But the 2020 class is going to be a lot more richer at that position than this one is. So I think that our best option right now is to address the line and address QB later.
Okay. Okay, is there any quarterback that you would be looking at to take the 6th overall selection?
I'm very high on guys like Drew Lock, but I'm not quite sure that he's somebody that you would take that high at 6. As much as I do think that he's a great quarterback. Me personally, I think he's getting best the cream of the crop out of the class.
Okay.
But I just think it's a little high for 6. And again, I just think that the protection is the biggest priority.
Okay. Well, definitely insightful. And a lot of Giants fans or anyone following the draft, really, it's kind of a quarterback or nothing kind of a pick for the Giants. But it really, really shows when you get players like Jonah Williams on the board still, they have to go.
You have to.
Exactly.
You have to. Sometimes it's best to just take the best player available, especially when it's a position of need.
Exactly. So let's just jump right into the 7th overall selection then. And we just talked about them. The Jacksonville Jaguars will be selecting whom?
They will be selecting Dwayne Haskins, the QB out of Ohio State. Jacksonville has been having a lot of problems finding the right QB for their seem to be very talented team right now. They've got a lot of weapons on the offense. They just can't find the right guy to lock it in and get those deep passes in, put the pressure on the defense, stuff like that. So Dwayne Haskins seems to be that guy that puts pressure on defenses like that. What do you guys think?
So Dwayne Haskins over Drew Lock?
I would say that, yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's just a matter of, I think he fits Jacksonville better. They're very reliant on the ground game.
You don't want to fall into a Blake Bortles situation all over again.
Yeah, the ground game really takes them as far as they can go offensively. We've seen with Leonard Fournette, and I think a guy like that that's a dual threat quarterback will be a lot more beneficial than someone that's just a pure pocket passer like Drew Lock.
How do you think the Jaguars would look if they did take someone like Drew Lock or Daniel Jones moving forward? Is it that big of a gap between Haskins and these other guys, or?
I wouldn't say it's a gap. I think it's really a best fit type of ordeal.
Run first, pass later.
Yeah, and that's not taking anything away from guys like Drew Lock and Daniel Jones. I just think that purely it's probably the best option, and they need to address that position because quarterback right now, Blake Bortles is holding that team back.
Well, very well said. And then we'll move right along and have Rob come back and hit us up with the Detroit Lions selection. Alrighty. Now, after the Jacksonville Jaguars selection at number 7, we have Rob back here with us with the Detroit Lions pick. So, Rob, I mentioned earlier that you were a Vikings fan. Why are you so adamant about the Detroit Lions?
Family ties is the easy answer. My dad was a Vikings fan. My mom's side of the family has a ton of ties all over Michigan. And push comes to shove, you need something to talk to them about. Everybody likes sports, right?
Yeah.
Might as well knock the Lions and see how that goes.
So you're a big Michigan fan, huh?
Yeah, you could say that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, why don't we just tie that right back in with the 8th overall pick to the Detroit Lions?
Mr. Rashawn Gary, defensive lineman from Michigan. The story writes itself. The Lions need a lot of help on the defensive line, especially from the edge spot. Rashawn can move all around the line except for nose tackle, which you happen to have Damon Harrison right there, so you're not going to need any help anytime soon. It's a Michigan man going to Detroit. You can hear, see, smell, feel the jersey selling right now, right?
Yeah.
I don't care what's going to happen. Order one for every single number, because if he's on the board, he's going to Detroit. They're going to make it happen. He's going to be an instant disruptor. He's going to step right into Ziggy Ansah's shoes if he leaves. And if he doesn't, and you've got a line consisting of Harrison at the nose, Ashawn and Deshaun Hand at the, what do you want to call them, under tackles maybe? Sure, why not? Ziggy on one side and Rashawn Gary on the other. Good luck to Kirk, Mitch, and Aaron Rodgers.
All right. Well, I can't really say anything else other than that. That's perfect. Thanks, Rob.
Thanks, man.
All right. Well, unfortunately, Rob had to leave, but he did record a few other picks, mainly his Minnesota Vikings, and we'll hit that pick up later after he just gave us his rendition of what the Lions should be doing. But with the 9th overall selection, I'd like to talk about the Denver Broncos and who they would be selecting. There were a lot of options for this selection, and that's what made this one so interesting. We came to a consensus that Case Keenum, he is still on contract for one more season, is it? One more season, and we figured that maybe it's not the worst idea to hit that stride with a better quarterback class, as Eric said when he was talking about the Giants selection. So, with the 9th overall selection, the Denver Broncos have selected DeAndre Baker from the University of Georgia. Now, I don't think I was a top 10 pick for DeAndre Baker.
Right.
I was not, but I was really persuaded based on what they have left on defense. We really fought hard on not selecting Ed Oliver based on who they have on the defensive line. But what they could have had with DeAndre Baker is a great cornerback with a lot of upside. He seems to be someone that could be the Tre'Davious White of this draft class. Kind of not really on the scene, not this top 5 guy
right.
like Marshawn Lattimore was.
Yeah, not a sexy name.
Yeah,
No
exactly. But DeAndre Baker really gives you that punch of what you want at a cornerback position. He's very different than Greedy Williams, isn't he?
Yeah, and I think this pick is really good for Denver, especially when you think about the success that Denver did have. The primary reason that they made it as far as they did with all of the Super Bowl runs, the playoff appearances, was on the account of their defense. And let's face it, Vance Joseph got there, the team just hasn't been the same. The secondary hasn't looked the same. Chris Harrison will be around forever. They lost to Keith Talib in a trade. You gotta address that position and get back to the ways that helped make you successful.
Right. They won a Super Bowl with all these guys.
Yeah.
It wasn't just Peyton Manning driven,
No.
Von Miller, and DeMarcus Ware.
Right.
It was the whole entity of what the defense has.
Yeah.
With Bradley Chubb, Von Miller still there, maybe they should be addressing the secondary rather than the quarterback or the other defensive pieces.
Yeah, got to go back to your successful
Right. Nothing to say about your rival?
I like to keep my mouth shut on the Broncos because I have too much to say against them.
That's all right. Well, we can just move right along, right up till the 10th overall selection. The Buffalo Bills will select
N'Keal Harry, wide receiver from Arizona State. And I think this pick's great for them because they really don't have a lot of options at wide receiver.
Absolutely. And you tinkered a lot with Ed Oliver being a selection here because of Kyle Williams, correct?
Yeah, I thought it might be a better pick, especially defensively. They are not looking the greatest. They're not where they were last year. They just kind of like Jacksonville, they both have just fell off. But I think this is a good pick. I mean, obviously, free agency can really dictate how this pick goes. They could make a signing to somebody, maybe Golden Tate. But I mean, I think N'Keal Harry is the best option here.
Right. You have someone like Josh Allen who can really sling it. They've tested the waters with Kelvin Benjamin and how well he could perform. And when it just didn't show, I mean, his talents are way different than what the Bills were offering. And Zay Jones seemed to be that possession catch guy. Yeah. They have Robert Foster, who really blossomed to be this great receiver. So why not get someone who can really fly?
Yeah,
I mean,
really
Robert Foster's not slow. Like, do not get me wrong. He's one of the fastest wide receivers I've seen all season. But N'Keal Harry, he is definitely someone that can just run straight, catch ball, touchdown.
And that definitely helps when you have a guy like Josh Allen that has a cannon of an arm. He can sling it. I mean, there's videos surfacing all over the internet. He dropped down to his knees at midfield and launched it 50 yards. I mean, if you want to have a vertical threat, get a guy like N'Keal Harry that can complement Josh Allen.
I agree. If you have someone like Josh Allen throwing the ball to N'Keal Harry, who's a guaranteed, like you guys have said, touchdown, I think that's a better option than trying to trade for a better wide receiver from another team, like, as you said, Golden Tate. So I think N'Keal Harry would be a better option to fit onto the team in that way.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and it really is a tough situation when you've been losing for so long. You do make the playoffs, but it was by the help of another team losing, and it just kept carrying over from there. Sorry, that's my dog. But when Kelvin Benjamin was traded from Carolina to the Bills, it really was not the push, and his attitude really showed up when Josh Allen wanted to run routes. He says no. And you brought up the Golden Tate scenario.
Yeah.
And you think, like, when he comes out after his stint is with the Eagles, maybe he can be that guy. But when you are someone like Golden Tate, don't you want to win?
Yeah, it makes sense. I mean, obviously, a lot of guys, they're after the dollar signs. But, I mean, when you get older, obviously you want to have that ring on your finger.
Exactly.
And speaking of teams that helped aid the Buffalo Bills move over to the Cincinnati Bengals. Cincinnati Bengals, I mean, here at the 11th pick, you can't imagine somebody like Ed Oliver drops any further than this.
Oh, absolutely.
And I think it'd be great to have someone of his player caliber, expertise, sitting right next to guys like Geno Atkins.
That would be unreal. It's very it's very rare that you have possibly the best player in college football right now. I mean, sure, Nick Bosa, but like Ed Oliver was up in that conversation for the longest time.
Yep.
Until he got in a few fights with his coach, and then some off the field issues involving teammates and whatever. But isn't it just written in the stars when the Bengals are the 11th overall pick? They don't have a problem with anyone that has all these problems.
No, they don't. None. They have no problems. Guys like Joe Mixon, the characteristics of people like Pac-Man Jones, Adam Jones, Vontez Perfect, constantly, being a problem for that team in the league.
Oh,
and,
absolutely.
Hopefully Ed Oliver can start himself up on the Bengals.
Absolutely. And maybe with Marvin Lewis gone, maybe they can actually make those strides from there.
Yeah, a new face, new direction,
exactly.
Disciplinary coach. Maybe it can work out for them. But best player available pick here, and I think Ed Oliver's the best.
It would be. It's written in the stars right there for the young man. So let's carry on over to the 12th overall selection. We go from the AFC here right down to the NFC with the Green Bay Packers.
Woo.
And the Green Bay Packers would be selecting Devin White, linebacker, thank you. The linebacker from LSU. Sorry, I'm drawing a blank.
You're okay. You're okay.
Devin White's not your average linebacker. He has the ability to drop back. He has the ability to be a rusher. He's very versatile. He also has what I think is the best set of hands at his position on this draft class.
Yeah, really Luke Kuechly-esque. Like, who likes the Panthers?
Not the guy wearing the shirt.
No. But yeah, Devin White is definitely interesting, and it's kind of like how do I explain this? You said you were drawing a blank from him, and it's completely natural with how deep this defensive line class is, and with Devin White kind of sitting there, the Packers are kind of like, hey, all right, let me just reap this bounty. Like we're going to take him on. Clay Matthews was our past. We're going to look to our future. We have the DBU, like LSU.
Yeah.
And we can move forward with that. Devin White would be a great fit for the Packers. And any Packers fan who has a certain selection in mind that doesn't get who they want, maybe Devin White is someone that you should be looking at.
Yeah, I mean, you really can't go wrong with this pick, especially, guys that you just mentioned, Clay Matthews, are not going to be around forever. Mm-hmm. You have to think about the future, and I personally think that Devin White is the future.
Absolutely. All right, so I will be announcing the 13th overall selection for the Miami Dolphins, and boy, was this my favorite player ever. I am a huge fan of the Dolphins' newest selection, Drew Lock from the Mizzou. I am a huge Missouri Tigers quarterbacks fan because Blaine Garrett was my favorite going into 2011, and now we're back at it with Drew Lock. I don't know what it is, but I am just in love with some of these quarterbacks when it comes to pure passer, great leader, and so on and so on.
Yeah, I think this is somebody that they really could use, especially for their offense. It's kind of really heavily dependent on the ground game. Not a lot of vertical play call, real short drop back passes to check downs, really. And one thing I like about Drew Lock is he has immensely talented in being accurate. He's an accurate passer. I believe his previous season before this one that we're in right now, he had 4,000 yards and 40 touchdowns.
Yeah, he broke Blaine Garrett's records.
Yep.
At least I thought I saw that. But with Drew Lock, the Dolphins will be moving on from Ryan Tannehill.
Yep.
This is purely a prediction, some speculation that's been on the news, but Tannehill's days seem to be numbered.
Yeah.
And Drew Lock would definitely be a move in a different direction, I should say. I can't really tell if it's a good move or a bad move just from the draft,
Right. You can only
but that's what's going to happen.
look at their seasons henceforth from them getting Locke to actually see what he's being able to do.
Exactly.
And you know what? That's okay though, because they're looking for a new coach, so they're gonna have a new scheme to input. And
That is true.
What better way to do
new
it?
Coach, new QB sounds like a whole new Miami Dolphins team.
Yeah.
Exactly. And then we can just transition right down to the 14th overall selection. The Atlanta Falcons will be selecting whom?
Is that me?
Yeah,
No.
I thought it was.
I don't know. Okay.
It's going to be Christian Wilkins, a defensive lineman from Clemson. You know, the real problem on the defense was the secondary, but that was more in part of injuries than anything. And I think getting a guy like Christian Wilkins on this line will help create the pressure that they need more so of.
Right. Clemson's kind of like a team that's, designed to have these great defensive linemen. I mean, when you've had like Shaq Lawson, you have the guys that are on the roster now, like Christian Wilkins, Clellan Ferrell.
Mm-hmm. Those guys are like 6'5", 270 pounds.
They're monsters, and I mean, like, that's what they breed there in Death Valley.
Yeah.
That's what they do. And with Atlanta, you're complimenting Grady Jarrett, and you're giving them someone brand new that they can play around with. They lost Dontari Poe to a rival.
Yeah.
And they really needed to move forward from that. And this pick was very interesting because there isn't a pure need for the Atlanta Falcons as of today.
No, not at all.
And that is why it went to the defensive line. We went to what the strongest suit of the draft was. And it just fell to Christian Wilkins.
It's another one where it's just best player available, really.
Exactly.
And, guys like Christian Wilkins and then him with Tack, that's going to be something that's going to be causing some problems in the South, where, again, a lot of high-octane offenses that got to be met with some sort of challenge. And I think that Wilkins going to help create those challenges.
Exactly. And, we were just talking about Ryan Tannehill a pick ago about leaving the team. And we're kind of looking at a unique selection with the 15th pick here.
That's right. The 15th pick has the Washington Redskins name on it, and I think that they're going to end up going in the direction drafting Duke's quarterback Daniel Jones. And I think that bowl game that he was a part of really is going to boost his stock to get him to this point. That will make a team like the Redskins really want to jump the gun on it.
Right.
He has what it takes to be a pocket passer, and who knows how long it's going to be for Alex Smith, if he'll even ever play football again.
Right. And I mean, you were just talking about Alex Smith maybe not even playing again, but Daniel Jones getting selected to the Washington Redskins, what does that mean for him what does it mean for him with having a teacher like Alex Smith? We see what happens with Patrick Mahomes with Alex Smith. I mean, what can Alex Smith do for another young rookie?
He clearly has the ability to get in the guy's ear and help him out and really teach. And it seems like the players are really grasping it. And Mahomes isn't the only one. I mean, Alex Smith got hurt in San Francisco, and Colin Kaepernick was able to help get them right to the Super Bowl. They came up a little bit short, but
I forgot about his little time there in San
a
Francisco.
little bit of time there, but definitely Alex Smith is definitely a guy that can sit back and help mentor a guy like Daniel Jones. I think this would be a good pick for them. They really need a quarterback more than anything in the world.
Right. Yeah, I mean, Daniel Jones goes a little bit unseen. Like, no one thinks about going to Duke and saying, hey, I'm going to play quarterback and go to the NFL.
Yeah.
No one's really thinking that, and I think that's where we're going to see a lot of turnaround with these smaller schools. We saw a Kentucky guy go number 3.
Yeah.
I mean, we saw UB a long time ago.
Yeah.
Number 5. Yeah, you know that
That's
one.
right. I have better memories than that, man.
Yeah, exactly. And you never know. Maybe we'll have another, small school guy go in the first round.
And it'd be really good for the league, too, and for colleges
Exactly.
like that. For recruiting purposes.
Anyone can make it.
And if we look here on number 16, we have a certain team that we have a fan right here.
No, that'll be me. The Carolina Panthers will be selecting Deontay Thompson, safety from Alabama. I am all in on this pick. I think we need secondary help more than we need food and water. We seem to struggle every single season ever since we lost Josh Norman. And Deontay Thompson really provides something special that's unique to the league. He is not only the best player at his position, but I would have had him listed as a top 10, if not higher. Deontay Thompson, he plays a lot like a Cam Chancellor. He runs like he's a running back, even, if you will, and he hits like no other. I mean, Deontay Thompson definitely is going to be something special in the NFL. And I feel like we say that about every single pick, because they're a first-round pick, that, they're going to be something special.
And maybe especially because he's going to the Panthers.
No.
I think this pick's a no-brainer. I mean, this team has a lot of problems in the secondary.
Yes.
And, I mean, what better place to get it from? I mean, Alabama just breeds safeties.
Exactly.
Thinking of you guys like Landon Collins, Hocklin, Diggs, and you know, Eric Reed was just a late fill. I don't really think he's any plans for the future. So I think if they want a future, they should go and get a guy like Thompson.
Right. Well, the Panthers have actually talked about re-signing Eric Reed. So it'll be definitely interesting to pair the two due to Mike Adams' age.
For sure.
Because we're starting a 35, 38-year-old safety.
Yeah.
And year in, year out, he just keeps coming back. He's coming back. And it's great because he's a great player. But there's no future there with Rashawn Golden and Dante Jackson being these rookies.
And eventually you got to find someone to pass that torch to, essentially.
Exactly. So then, now with the Panthers picks said and done, we can move on down, or should I say up, to Cleveland.
Yeah, and Cleveland seems to be in a great position right now that they have Baker Mayfield, who's doing tremendous for them now. They've got great running back game, but it seems like the only gap they need on the offense is their wide receiver position. So that's why they'd be selecting Marquise Brown, the wide receiver from Oklahoma. And this guy seems to be like a really, really fast guy, great with his hands, able to get down the field, running proper routes and everything.
Oh, absolutely.
He'd be a great trifecta, so to speak, for Baker to go to.
Oh,
He's played with him before, too, so, I mean, the story writes itself, essentially, so, I mean, this pick seems to be the most obvious one.
He's a really unique personality, and I think that's what Baker Mayfield will love about having Marquise Brown. His nickname is Hollywood. You know, like, you can't write this stuff. I mean, Greedy Williams, Hollywood Brown. You know, we have a lot of nicknames here that are defining these personalities.
Right.
And with Baker Mayfield being a part of Marquise Brown's collegiate career, you can really see the growth without him. And he had to deal with a complete new system with Kyler Murray. And he's able to make those transitions.
Yeah, I think it's kind of a good spot and landing place for him, the familiarity, and you know, getting to play on the opposite side. You know, Jarvis Landry. Jarvis Landry's this quick, speedy receiver. Then you go get a guy like Marquise Brown that's going to have a little bit more size to him.
Right.
So I think this is something that's really good for Cleveland if they can go up and get him at this spot.
Right, and the weird part about the way our board has been falling is we're not going off of the rankings of these players, because AJ Brown, DK Metcalf, they were the true number 1 and 2.
Yeah.
And now here we are, 2 wide receivers down, 17th pick overall, and we're stuck at, you know, where are these guys going?
Yeah.
Yeah, and I really think a lot of them fall under the category of these schools have these issues with these certain players going to the next level. I mean, we saw it with Laquan Treadwell.
Yeah.
And he couldn't produce in the NFL as much as we all hoped. He was from Ole Miss, like these other 2 guys. DK Metcalf, he had the neck injury, which made him definitely interesting. And it just kind of moves on from there.
Yeah. I definitely think this is a good pick for him.
Exactly.
I agree.
Alrighty. And number 17 came and went. Let's hit it back with the Minnesota Vikings now that we have Rob back over here with us.
I hate this team. I hate so much.
So the Minnesota Vikings, they have a lot to fix then, Rob, huh?
You know, it's not a lot of quantity, but it's a lot of quality.
Okay.
Let's put it that way.
Okay.
Anybody who watched Vikings games is going to realize that they need, let's play it safe, 8 new offensive linemen. Why not? So I'm going to go with the best one available here. We're going to go with the massive man himself, Cody Ford, listing him as a guard from Oklahoma. They really could fix every spot. I think Brian O'Neill's going to be a good tackle wherever he ends up. He was mostly on the right side this year. He could shift to the left, but they've had issues shifting guys from right side to left side in the past. I think they'll keep him there. Ford is huge. A player the Vikes have shied away from in the past. They could have signed Larry Warford after his rookie deal with Detroit expired. Yeah. They could have and frankly should have taken Will Hernandez last year, but no, Zimmer won out in the war room is really what happened. And I think after this year, with the expectations so high, Kirk Cousins constantly running from his life, Dalvin Cook not being able to establish any running lanes, you can't escape the offensive line issues anymore. Cody's going to fix a massive, massive part of the problem, which was Mike Remmers. A player that I know you know all too well.
Yes. So
you know exactly where I'm coming from with that.
Oh, yes. I mean, he was a good player, but, it doesn't fit the bill sometimes.
Yeah, what can you do?
Yeah.
And it's a good sign they were at least trying to do something. It didn't work, but if at least Cody Ford, it's worth it.
Hey, I had Mike Remmers, you, and
we suffered
Matt
together.
Khalil, so we suffered together.
Yeah, what a swap that was.
Well, thanks again, Rob. Thanks for stopping in.
Thank you, my friend. Always a pleasure.
All right, so Rob has just left again after he did his Lions and Vikings selection. So here we are at the 19th overall selection. The Tennessee Titans are on the clock.
And at 19, they're going to be taking Draymond Jones, defensive tackle from Ohio State. This is kind of a pick that it's more best player available. The Titans, statistically, their defense is already, a top-notch quality defense. And I think having someone like him can help the defensive line out tremendously, especially in the interior slot. They already have good corners, good safeties, linebacking cores is as advertised. So I think this is just the best player available pick, and it's something that's going to be very, very helpful for the Tennessee Titans.
Yeah, they don't really have kind of like the Atlanta Falcons selection. It didn't really have a home. They do need a little receiver help, but they make do with what they have with Corey Davis. They really do have a great team set up for the future. They were footsteps away from a playoff berth.
Yeah, right on the doorstep.
Right on the doorstep. And I mean, just because the Colts really took over that, they really, in a sense, took over the division. I mean, out of nowhere. I mean, I love the Texans, I love what they're doing for the future, but the Colts really popped up
nowhere.
Out of nowhere. Exactly. And the Titans now have to fight with that. I just pray that it's not another Jacksonville scenario where they're so good and then they just dump off.
Yeah, no.
Because we've seen it with the AFC South. We've seen it.
Yeah, I mean, it's nothing to really not expect after having the absence of Andrew Luck. But, guys like Fournette that are going to be carrying the ball, Deshaun Watson's mobile, Andrew Luck's mobile, you're going to need somebody who can help you back there. So I think Draymond Jones is the best pick available.
Yeah, he's got great hands. He's great reliability on the field. I mean, when you look at the Titans, I mean, it's like, where do you have a problem? We don't really have one, so it's just like we're just looking for the best player.
Fill a role.
Yeah,
let's go with that.
Get an upgrade somewhere.
Perfect. So moving right along, let's get to the 20th overall selection with the Pittsburgh Steelers.
Yeah, the Steelers look like they're going to be going for Julian Love, the center back from Notre Dame, and he's been overall very great for the team.
Yeah, I think I'm a big Julian Love fan myself, huge Notre Dame fan actually. What I like about Julian Love is he's very, very physical with whatever receiver he's placed upon with. And he has ability with his eyes, kind of like a quarterback, to use his eyes to manipulate a quarterback. He can jump routes, and that's something that's really valuable for a team like Pittsburgh that's really just has not really had any success with their secondary.
Yeah, not all. Not ever since, what was his name? Palomalu?
Palomalu.
Palomalu,
Just hasn't been the same.
Really hasn't. Well, the Steelers haven't been the same since.
No.
I mean, they have this great offense, that's falling apart,
Yeah.
Dare I, Marvel fans,
Yeah. I mean, you got guys like, you have Ben, you have James Conner. For the moment, you have Antonio Brown. You got great tight ends. They really need to address the defense, so getting some guy like Julian Love is going to be very, very helpful.
Do you see the Steelers kind of going on this trend of defensive players? Because, what was it, Artie Burns, we've had Terrell Edmonds, and they just kind of flake off after the draft. Because they fall into the system of the Steelers not having great DBs anymore. Because, look at the Packers. They seem to do it every year.
Yeah.
And you don't hear about them after the draft.
Yeah, I think Edmonds will pan out, and I always thought that the Artie Burns pick was quite a bit of a reach. Mm-hmm. But I think that Julian Love is somebody that you're going to be seeing a long time in Pittsburgh.
Well, good. Well, that's very insightful. I do not know that much about Julian Love. Mainly because the class is so deep.
Yeah.
And we're really just scratching the surface. This is really the first official mock draft.
Yeah.
I mean, for us, but
Yeah, it did just end.
Yeah,
yes, it did just end. I mean, we just had the Indianapolis Colts come on top of the Texans, and not even an hour ago.
Yeah.
And now our mock draft's all weird. So,
and
but we're rolling with it. We're rolling with it.
With that being said, I think the mock drafts are going to be shuffling. Players are going to be moved around on these. But if I had to, this is how much emphasis I'm putting on this pick. I have to say that I think this is going to be the guy that's going to be staying here no matter what mock I have.
Really?
Yep.
Well, it's very interesting. Very interesting.
Very solid pick.
Exactly. Well, why don't we move along right to the Philadelphia Eagles with the 21st overall selection. The Eagles will be selecting Greg Little, offensive tackle from Ole Miss. Well, it was bound to happen eventually. We have our second tackle, specifically a tackle, off the board here. Jonah Williams was the first. I guess the Eagles want to copy you because they're jealous.
Oh.
But Greg Little is definitely a great prospect. He really should be a lot higher on this draft. I couldn't believe that we missed him. But when teams have other needs, they need to fill them, and this is how it happens. I mean, we're witnessing it right now.
Yeah.
He was a 5-star athlete coming out of high school. Went to Ole Miss, and he tore it up there. He really didn't make any waves where he fell off the board, but he just stayed neutral as that top 5 high school prospect. And he's an interesting tackle because it's very similar to Michael Orr, where he went to Ole Miss. I'm not saying like the issues and like there's not going to be a movie about Craig Little.
No.
But
Craig Little, OT.
But what there is going to be is a comparison because they were especially good in college. And they definitely were worthy of a first-round selection.
Yeah, I think this pick's definitely about timing. I mean, let's be real. Guys like Lane Johnson from Philadelphia, guys on the outside of those offensive line spots, they're getting older, not going to be there forever.
Jason Peters.
Peters.
I think he was the left tackle for Drew Bledsoe in Buffalo.
Oh, yeah,
was
I was
he?
just going to say, he's been around a long time, so timing's everything. I think that a guy like Greg Little would be a great fit for Philadelphia.
Especially for him to fall.
Yeah.
It's what, like,
right
Eagles fans, you better hope.
Right into the
Right.
And moving on forward to the 22nd selection, we have the Indianapolis Colts, and I think that this would be a great pick for them as well. Also from Ole Miss, wide receiver DK Metcalf. I think the best part about this pick is that it's going to get somebody that has a big body to complement T.Y. Hilton on the opposite side, and that's something they really haven't had since Reggie Wayne, Marvin Harrison. So it's definitely something, another toy for Andrew Luck to have to play with.
Oh yeah, someone you can get like a receiver down the field with, because after he catches the ball, no one's stopping that guy.
Right. Yeah, and he did have some injury problems. I mean, like he had his own, and I mean, him and Andrew Luck will have a common, little interesting fact there. They both had neck injuries.
Oh.
So DK Metcalf, he might fit in more than expected for the Colts, but
they have a lot to talk about.
Yeah, exactly. But my biggest problem with these Ole Miss receivers is I've said it before, and I said it when we were talking about the Browns, was that teams like to stay away from unsuccessful collegiate players like that go to the NFL.
Okay.
And we talked about Laquan Treadwell and his impact with the Vikings. He was this number 1 receiver. He was the guy in that draft class. And I think he has 2 receptions total. I'm not even sure. But you don't hear about Laquan Treadwell anymore.
No, you don't. And who knows what it could be. It could be something internal we don't know about. He just isn't putting in the work to have himself in a successful spot where he gets the playing time to up those receptions. But I think this is going to be a little bit more different. We're not going to have the continuity from the same college.
Well, let's hope. For Colts fans out there, let's hope.
Absolutely. Moving on, going to the 23rd pick here, we got the Seattle Seahawks, and Once again, we're jumping back over to the lineman. We got Dalton Risner from Kansas State. This is a pick that's huge for Seattle because they need help on the line.
Yes.
Russell Wilson is constantly scrambling. As soon as he drops back, as if someone's in his face.
By choice or not.
Yeah, as soon as he drops back, it's as if someone's in his face.
Mm-hmm.
And that's something they got to take care of.
I'm a huge fan of Dalton Risner. I mean, I think I always have, but linemen just aren't that sexy pick where it's like, oh man, I got a lineman this year.
Oh, but definitely a necessary part of your defensive line.
Oh,
when
yeah.
you're trying to protect your quarterback.
It's like socks for Christmas, you know? Like, you need them, but you don't want them.
Yeah, basically.
Right, but huge fan of him. I think he's one of the more underrated linemen in this draft.
Yeah,
and I think that's what's going to be interesting, because he's not Jonah Williams, he's not Cody Ford, but what is he? And I see him being like a Whitehair from the Bears.
Yeah.
He went to the same school, but they both can move around to tackle to guard. Whitehair moves to center, but not anymore.
Yeah.
But they both can, and I think it's just that agile movement that they have. They breed them different in Kansas State.
Yeah, and like you said, you know, he's not Jonah Williams, he's not Greg Little, but you know he is. I think he's reliable. And I think that's something that's going to be huge for them because let's face it, you know, ever since the Jimmy Graham for Max Unger trade, the line has not looked the part.
It really hasn't. Max Unger was definitely a focal point of that offense.
Absolutely.
Right. So let's just move right along. 24th overall selection is the Baltimore Ravens.
And it looks like they'll be selecting Calvin Harmon, the wide receiver from North Carolina State.
All right.
Yeah.
Huge fan of Calvin Harmon.
Oh yeah, he's going to be interesting to see on their offense because the Ravens have been making a lot of moves to get like a new wide receiver to like find that number one guy on their offense. And you got John Brown, Michael Crabtree, a few other guys,
Willie
Snead.
Snead.
Yeah, Willie Snead too.
Willie Snead, yeah.
But none of them have really like stood out to be like the number one. I can do all these routes kind of
Right.
guy. They have them in like different down the field short passes, you know. But Calvin Harmon seems to be like that very versatile guy that they need. That they might be able to pick up and be like, hey, we can put him down the field. We can get him short passes, dump it off, get that first down, you know.
Yeah. Yeah, Calvin Harmon, he's definitely a unique prospect in this year's draft because he's a big body that plays like a small receiver.
Yeah.
He's no Hollywood Brown, but what he definitely resembles a lot of a Reggie Wayne kind of a game. Like he plays big, but he's not.
Yeah.
But in reverse, you know? So you're going to see a lot of blocking formations for Calvin Harmon. Ravens fans shouldn't expect a whole lot right off the bat.
No, they shouldn't, and I still think this is going to be a good pick for them as well, giving them a big body. And when you think of the AFC North, you think of a lot of good defenses for the most part, Baltimore especially.
Yeah.
So I think this is going to be a pick that's going to help them out tremendously. And they're a run-heavy team.
Especially with Lamar now.
Yeah, if you got to make a third down play or you're coming from behind, you need a guy that can make plays, has a big body, go get the 50-50 balls, and it's someone like
Exactly. What I'm hoping for the Ravens is that this is not a similar situation with that Carolina had with Kelvin Benjamin, because Calvin Harmon, he's not 6'5", 280,
Right.
and whatever. But what he is he's going to fight for the ball, and I'm hoping that Lamar will use him like Kelvin, but Calvin Harmon won't become Kelvin Benjamin.
Right.
That's my biggest aspect to it. So,
Right. Moving into the 25th pick here, Oakland Raiders back at it with their second of three. We're looking to get a new wide receiver in place of losing Amari Cooper to the Cowboys. So I thought it'd be best to go with A.J. Brown from Ole Miss. A lot of talent from this guy. He's going to be hopefully exactly the replacement. He's the same height and weight. He's got the same catch percentage almost about. He's got great speed on him, great athleticism rather. And I just think he's going to be a great pick for us.
man, I don't think I can say it better than that right there.
Yeah,
I really don't.
I think what stands out about this guy is you cannot leave him in open space.
No.
I'm not talking about on a route, leave him wide open. When the ball is in his hand and he has open space,
He is not letting
he's
go.
making plays and making people look
Who
silly.
else was like that and just left the team? You know, like you're using a 25th pick on that.
Yeah.
Instead of, what was it? Amari Cooper was picked 4th?
Yeah.
Something like that, maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like he
But when you-
definitely was top 5. But A.J. Brown, he was the number 1 rated player for wide receiver position this year.
Yeah, he's really the headliner of it, and I know we got a lot of guys that
Oh,
went
yeah.
before him. But
talent fit the other
the
teams.
talent fit, and this is a guy that you just can't pass on when you're in need. You got an aged Jordy Nelson as your 1 and Seth Roberts as your 2. So this is
it's like, what do you do
here?
Yeah.
Easy pick.
Did we just give the Raiders Clelin Ferrell and AJ Brown?
You did.
Wow. Okay. It's like you had 5.
Yeah, AFC West is going to
four
look
and
lethal
whatever.
next year.
That's definitely going to be interesting.
Yep, for sure.
Well, all right. Well, this is kind of a unique surprise to our little fold here, as Alicia, a very big Texans fan, wanted to come in and give us her little pick for the Houston Texans 26th overall selection. I'll let you take it away.
Okay. So with the 26th overall pick, the Houston Texans select Jawan Taylor, offensive tackle from Florida. It's no secret this is the biggest issue on the Texans this year. Deshaun Watson was sacked 62 times, which was the most in the NFL. And it made me cringe every game, just watching him take these hits over and over, especially coming off of the season-ending injury last year. And I'm really thankful he made it through the season without getting hurt, but it was definitely a sad loss against the Colts. But I think overall, without addressing the offensive line, I don't know how the playoffs would have been. Anyways, there's a lot of tough defenses.
Yeah, and during the game, they really addressed a unique stat was that he's been sacked the most times in the red zone. I believe 15 times in the red zone. It's the most in 30 years. And right there, it just says it all that you need a change at the offensive tackle position, the offensive line position. Like, it's going to have to be a complete remodel.
Yeah, and just every game, he just would be pressured so fast, and he would get sacked, and then he would take these hits, and there wasn't time for plays to develop, and just stuff couldn't get done. So
Right. Well, thank you for popping in real quick and giving us your 26th overall selection here for us. Yeah, I mean, best of luck with next season, and hopefully you come back for another selection, or maybe more next time.
yes.
But let's get over to the 27th pick with Nick. Alrighty, and thank you, Alicia, for kind of guest starring in here. I know this wasn't really planned for you, but thank you again. Kind of like with Rob, he kind of had to split too, but really wanted to make sure some of the people had their favorite teams, that couldn't really be with us today. Alicia's got to man the camera. That's why she only did her team. And, as we know with how the games played out today, the Texans will not be at number 26. They will be a little higher, and the Colts are going to move down. But that's the great part about these mock drafts, is that they're ever changing based on everything that happens.
Yep.
So,
Awesome.
Without further ado, we can continue now into the 27th overall selection, and that goes straight over to my friend Nick.
Right back to the Oakland Raiders here with our third and final pick of the first round. We'll be going with Byron Murphy, the center back from Washington. And this guy seems to be like the next step in building back our defense. So he's great with pass protection. He's great with reliable hands. He's great with athleticism. He's basically everything Gruden's looking for in building his defense again.
Yeah, definitely. It was very interesting to see where the Raiders would be placed. I mean, like I said to my intro here about Alicia leaving, but the mocks are ever changing. The Bears and Cowboys could lose like these next games and be at pick 20 and 25, whatever it may be. But I always thought it was very interesting because I'm going to throw it real quick back to the 4th overall selection. They could have easily taken Andres Greedy Williams.
Yeah.
But they didn't.
No.
They could have taken, it was only a pick difference, but they could have taken someone else in a different spot and went somewhere else.
Yeah.
The Raiders are very interesting this offseason, and I think that we could see them add even more picks. Maybe not first-round picks, but add even more picks to what's going to be coming up. But Byron Murphy, he is one of my favorites in this year's draft.
Really?
Yeah, next to Taylor Rapp, I'm very intrigued with the Huskies and what they have to offer for this year's draft, because the talent that always comes out of Washington, I mean, look at John Ross. He breaks the 40 record.
John Ross,
Yeah.
Jones, guys, they're all over the place. And I think the part with getting Murphy here, great football player. Talent's there.
Absolutely.
And it most importantly, fills a need. And I like how you said they could have got Greedy Williams. but they don't want to get greedy, not to make a pun or anything. There's other needs that they took care of, and right now they're taking care of the last one, which is in their secondary, much like Pittsburgh. They
get kind of that Charles Woodson thing back in Oakland.
They went out and got guys like Sean Smith, didn't pan out, drafted Urion Conley, not looking so great, so I think for them to come back here and get another corner is the right thing to do, especially at the spot after taking care of the more important positions.
Right. So, as a Raiders fan, how do you feel coming into this year's draft? I mean, you've just given us your final pick. If this was the lay of the land for the Oakland Raiders, how do you feel?
If I got these 3 picks, I'd be happy with it. I'd be a little more hopeful into trying to delve into some more running backs into future draft classes. I think that's going to be our next point to address after we obviously fix our defense. But other than that, I think Cleveland Farrell is a great replacement for Khalil Mack. Byron Murphy is going to be a great number 2 for that. A.J. Brown will be hopefully one of our star wide receivers, so it'll be great. I'm hopeful for this.
That's good. That's good to hear, especially after such a promising season before to this. And, I mean, the minute you traded Khalil Mack, you knew it was going to be this kind of
Yeah, this is going to be Gruden's team. This is going to be how he wants it to be.
Exactly, and he's building for what he thinks is best. And that's what Raiders fans need to understand. You've come to terms with it by, week 4? You were like, okay, we're good. We're on board. We're on board. But for Raiders fans out there, that's kind of the lay of the land. That's why you have these 3 picks. It stinks that it's at the end of the draft and it's not the beginning, like we all kind of hoped when we traded to Dallas and the Bears. But
it's 3 picks.
Exactly, 3 picks or 3 picks.
And shifting on over to the next pick, their rival, 28th slot, Los Angeles Chargers. We got them selecting Jerry Tillery, defensive tackle out of Notre Dame. And this is an interesting pick because when you think about their defense, they really don't need much more. Yeah, you got Joey Bosa, and then across from him is Ingram. The secondary is good. They just got Derwin James, Jason Verrett, all these guys. But I think to shore up the middle of that defensive line and get a guy like Jerry Tillery would be great. This guy can stuff the run, penetrate. But I think what coaches are really going to love about this kid is that he has such a high motor.
Okay.
Such a high motor.
Yeah, Notre Dame fan, especially seeing that,
Every game I watch.
Exactly. Yep. But I think we even played around with the idea of having Taylor Rapp kind of coming in, being like Derwin James and Rapp kind of going at it. It's the safety position. But it's there are so many options out here that, they have Casey Hayward, they have Verrett, they have Desmond King. They have so many options. And it just didn't make sense to even put someone like that there, even though he's probably the best player on the board, minus some of these other defensive linemen.
Yep.
But they definitely did need a little bit of a boost from the defensive tackle position, and we're definitely going to see that.
And I think another thing to think of, it's the AFC West, a very tough division, arguably the toughest division in football. And you have guys that you're going to be running up against, like up-and-comers like Philip Lindsay. You need guys who can close the gaps.
Exactly.
Jerry Tillery is somebody that can do that.
I didn't even think about that. Undrafted player, not in my mind.
Yeah. It wasn't in anybody else's mind at the time either.
That far ahead with the Notre Dame guys, I guess.
Well, we can just scoot right on over to the 29th overall selection. The New England Patriots will be selecting Zach Allen, the defensive lineman out of Boston College. We went for the hometown guy. It fit the system. He's the highest player on the board, and just thought we could run with that. I had Zach Allen as a higher prospect, probably going to Green Bay, maybe even at 12, but it figured that it would fit at 29 with the Patriots. So, let's just kind of knock this mock out of the park here. Just kind of scoot right back over to the Rams here. How about that?
Sure.
That's a 30th pick here. Los Angeles Rams selecting Ja'Kai Polite. And this pick is just absolutely terrifying.
Absolutely terrifying. It makes the Rams defense more intimidating than it needs to be.
You are going to have Ja'Kai Polite, Dante Fowler, and Dominican Sue. And Aaron Donald.
Yeah,
that's absolutely terrifying, and that's something
not even
to
mention a lot of those backup undesirables, that are still starter ready for other teams like Cleveland. Like Cleveland, Jacksonville, Cincinnati, anyone that could really use effectively. But they want to be there because they know that they will have a championship team.
Yeah, and Polite is somebody that can help any team out. Definitely.
Right.
Rex Havoc, he was a huge piece for that Florida defense.
Right.
That just caused so many problems for all these teams like LSU and Michigan. So.
Oh yeah. He's terrifying as it is. So we can go straight over to Kansas City Chiefs. I mean, Rams and Chiefs back to back, but that's not a Super Bowl that we have predicted.
We're hoping.
It is if you mean.
We're hoping for part two.
We went straight over to Kansas City selecting Jeffrey Simmons. It was an interesting selection because this guy he's better than 31st. He's way better than the 31st overall selection, and it's all because of off-the-field issues. So the reason why the Kansas City Chiefs are pulling the trigger on this selection is because Andy Reid is not afraid to take the best player available, even though he's had the issues. He's owned up to the problems. He's played a season after it. This isn't like Joe Mixon where he was not playing for a little while because of the altercations and they needed to fix it. But Jeffrey Simmons is a threat. Yeah. And we all decided this when it was coming down to this pick, that they needed secondary help. That was their biggest hole.
Yeah.
But that's it. No, I mean, no.
Okay.
But, there it is.
One thing that is really, really crucial and important to note for this pick is Kansas City has one of the worst run defenses in the entire league.
Yes.
And
yes.
Further noted, as I stated on the Chargers pick, that division's full of good running backs, like Melvin Gordon. You need somebody who can fill up those gaps.
Exactly.
Just like Jerry Tillery for Los Angeles. So I think this would be a great pick for the Kansas City Chiefs.
Yeah,
I think it's going to be also interesting to see how they, on the coaching staff-wise, how they get him to be, behave off the field. You know what I mean? To keep him available for games and stuff.
Yeah, it's actually really interesting to bring that up because we've seen Andy Reid not afraid to take those picks, but we've also seen players like Marcus Peters who have kind of tempers and flaring, and he got shipped off to the Rams.
Yeah, but he did do his job in Kansas City, even with it. And just because the Chiefs weren't Super Bowl contenders then, when he was with the team and it kind of went on from there, that doesn't mean that, the people with these issues and they get shipped out. They're getting shipped out for something. Yeah. And they're definitely bringing in what they're going to get out of it.
Absolutely.
So even if it doesn't work out, it was a good attempt. Mm-hmm. It was the highest player on the board, so let's go with it. All right. And with the final selection of the 2019 NFL Mock Draft 1.0,
the Green Bay Packers, again, after having a trade last year with the New Orleans Saints, and we have them listed here to take a wide receiver, Anthony Johnson from Buffalo. And I think it's a great pick, a great move by Green Bay. They need somebody that can help out Aaron Rodgers. You don't sign a guy to that massive a contract and not give him any help.
Right. I mean, like I've said before with the Packers, we've given them so many defensive players and given them so much help on something they truly struggle with. And it's all because of these contracts that keep coming through the door. And, they just never equate to anything positive. So why not go the other way with it and just really say, you know what, we're going to give Aaron Rodgers every weapon that we can. And instead of plugging that hole at number 12, let's just do it with that luxury 32 pick, taking Anthony Johnson, let him get used to our system, let him get used to playing with Aaron Rodgers. Hopefully you can get some kind of a Donald Driver chemistry going again.
Yeah, and I think the most important part about this pick is thinking about the position itself.
Yes.
You think about what they have at that position. Devontae Adams has blossomed. He's looked great. But then after him, there's really not much else.
Yes.
Randall Cobb is aged. Jimmy Graham is not what he used to be. All these targets that he have, they're not really ideal.
Yeah, even more of those contracts are just even ending, so they're going to be looking for people to fill in those slots.
Exactly. And I mean, when we discussed it, it was all up to who has caught a pass by Aaron Rodgers, and it was Equanimous St. Brown, Marquez Valdez-Scantling, and all these other no-name guys. I mean, I'm not saying they're bad, but why not get someone who can be that number 1 first-round pick?
Yeah.
Wouldn't you want that with Devontae?
Yeah.
And then like have Randall Cobb coming around and doing his thing over on this side of the field. But all in all, Anthony Johnson definitely is worthy of a first-round draft pick. I think that's why he went 32, because Kansas City doesn't need a wide receiver. The Rams don't need one. Patriots don't really need one, and the Chargers don't.
Yeah.
So him falling to 32 is more of a blessing for the Packers than it really is anything else.
Yeah, and this is something that's they need. Besides just helping out Aaron Rodgers, they need the weapons. Chicago has taken over the throne of the North. Minnesota's there. They need to get back to what they were.
Exactly.
Hopefully Anthony Johnson's the guy.
Well, with all that said and done, I just wanted to thank you guys again for coming on the show. Thank
Happy to be here.
Anytime.
And I know you're brand new to this, and hope it kind of blossoms into something new.
Oh, yeah.
I'm talking with Eric and myself a little bit here, and there's definitely going to be a lot of mock drafts to come. But thanks for watching, everyone at home, and look forward to doing mock draft number 2.